Alright, guys, I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I have some facts here actually for once in my life. Um, I'm gonna be talking about marijuana. Yay! Um, I'll explain why I'm talking about it later. I'm gonna give you some facts about it first and some reasons why it's illegal. It is perceived as addictive. Apparently, under the Controlled Substance Act of 1970, marijuana is classified as a Schedule 1 drug on the basis that it has a potential for abuse. What does this mean? Well, basically, what it means is people think that if you smoke one joint, you're addicted for life. Kind of like, I don't know, meth, heroin, cocaine. Which cocaine? It's interesting. It's actually hard to get addicted to cocaine. They say that it's easier if you smoke. So if you smoke, don't try cocaine. Just a little fact for you guys. I've done a lot of research on a lot of different drugs, mainly because I believe they all need to be legal. Legalize them, tax them, solve some issues, put some revenue back. We can stop this whole war on drugs that's taking trillions upon trillions out of our pockets, the taxpayers' pockets. It we legalize it, we tax it, we start getting that money back. Anyway, back to the marijuana. I'll actually read this whole paragraph right here. It's not too bad. It means that the perception that people get on marijuana, they get hooked and become potheads, and it begins to dominate their lives. This unquestionably happens in some cases, but it also happens in the case of alcohol, and alcohol is perfectly legal. There's one little more part to this. In order to fight this argument for prohibition, legalization advocates needed to make the argument that marijuana is not as addictive as government sources claim. It's not. It really isn't. I know a lot of guys that smoked weed in high school that have no problem now. One of them actually just joined the army. I'm proud of him. It's amazing that people don't get addicted to it. It really isn't as addictive as people claim. It's really not. It really isn't. It is for some people though. Yeah, it does happen. People that have alcoholism in their in the family, they have a higher chance of becoming addicted to different things. Alcohol being one of them, but also drugs and even just regular day things like coffee and pop they become more addicted to the caffeine. Oh, that's another one. Caffeine is perfectly legal and it's a drug. So is nicotine, which is in tobacco products. Funny part is nicotine is also in eggplants and a lot of other different things. It not as much as tobacco, but it's still in there. Anyway, the next thing, it has no accepted medical use. That's not true, actually. It has been proven that it helps with Tourette's and epilepsy. Here in Iowa, there is cannabis oil that is allowed for children with epilepsy to help them with their symptoms. I'll actually read this little thing. I'll read the headline of the article, of the little thing, and then I'll read what it has to say. So, it has no accepted medical use. Marijuana seems to yield considerable medical benefits for many Americans with ailments ranging from glaucoma to cancer, but these benefits have not been accepted well enough on a national level. Medical use of marijuana remains a serious national controversy. In order to fight the argument that marijuana has no medical use, legalization advocates need to highlight the effects it has on the lives of people who have used the drug for medical reasons. I actually don't know of anybody that has, here in Iowa, that has used it for medical reasons, but I do know that there are studies that prove that it helps with the cancer, it helps with the pain. It helps with a lot of things. Um, there are many things that it will help with. The hunger, well, not being hungry because of all the puking from chemo. It will help with the pain. It helps with a lot of different things. Uh, the next thing is it has been historically linked with narcotics such as heroin. Early anti-drug laws were written to regulate narcotics, opium and its derivatives, such as heroin and morphine. Oh, I didn't know morphine was actually an opioid. That's new to me. It may not be. It may just. Well, it does say a derivative, so I didn't know that. Marijuana, though not a narcotic, was described as such along with cocaine. Okay, I don't think that cocaine should be legal for medical use, or I guess it should be legal where we can tax it. But I don't see any medical use to it. I think that if we do legalize it, it needs to be highly regulated. There need to still be drug tests in jobs where you operate heavy machinery. Truck drivers should be have regularly scheduled urine tests, like every month. That way, it's harder for them to hide the fact that they are using it. But it goes on to state the association stuck, and there is now a vast gulf in the American consciousness between normal recreational drugs such as alcohol, caffeine, and nicotine, and abnormal recreational drugs such as heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamines. Marijuana is generally associated with the latter category, which is why it can be convincingly portrayed as a gateway drug. Well, I don't fully understand how it's a gateway drug. It's not like everybody that smokes it is going to go do heroin or meth or stuff like that. And, it's one of those where it's a tricky thing. Some people are going to, but others aren't. It depends on the person. The next thing is, it is associated with unfashionable lifestyles. Marijuana is often thought of as a drug for hippies and losers. Since it's hard to feel enthusiastic about the prospects of enabling people to become hippies and losers, imposing criminal sanctions for marijuana possession functions as a form of communal tough love. Well, the problem with that is we have a lot of people in our prison systems that are just picked up with not much marijuana on them. So if we legalize it, especially for recreational use, we're going to cut down on our prison population, which is going to help stop the amount of prisoners. It's going to help stop the amount of money that goes to it. It's going to save money in the long run. Plus, again, with the taxation, it's going to help put money back in. The other thing is, you look at it, and it could also be like back in the 1920s when people used it. It was lower income people, like the Irish, I guess. There's a lot of things where it becomes, where the people that use it, there's nothing wrong with them, nothing at all, absolutely nothing. It's just that back in the day we were very, very racist. Look at the term paddy wagon. Paddy was a derogative term for an Irish person, and it is used to describe the big old van that the police bring to round people up in a riot and stuff like that. That's actually the next thing. It was associated with oppressed ethnic groups. The intense anti-marijuana movement of the 1930s, I don't even know what that word is, something nicely with the intense anti-Chicago movement of the 1930s. Marijuana was associated with Mexican Americans, and a ban on marijuana was seen as a way to discouraging Mexican American subcultures from developing. Today, thanks in large part to the very public popularity of marijuana among whites during the 1960s and 70s, Marijuana is no longer seen as what one might call an ethnic drug, but the groundwork for the anti-marijuana movement was laid down at a time when marijuana was seen as an encroachment of the U.S. majority white culture. See? Right there. Mexican American. We were very racist back in the day. We're even racist against some people now. Muslims. We're racist against Muslims. That's more of a religion. That is a religion, but it's the same concept. We want to ban all Muslims from coming into the U.S. You see where I'm coming from? It's just stupid. Now back to the marijuana. So basically it was seen as something that if we made it illegal, people would of a certain culture would no longer come to the U.S. or anything like that. The next thing is inertia is a powerful force in public policy. I'm getting really sick of reading all this. Basically what it says is if something is banned for only a short period of time, then the ban is seen as unstable. If something has been banned for a long time, however, then the ban, no matter how ill-conceived it might be, tends to go unenforced long before it has actually taken off the books. So the federal government is not cracking down on places like Colorado where it's legal. So what the states need to do is they need to legalize it. After we all legalize it, it'll be taken off the books. But I'll move on to the next thing. Advocates for marijuana legalization rarely present an appealing case. Alright, so I'm actually going to read this one. To hear some advocates of marijuana legalization say it, the drug cures diseases while it promotes creativity, open-mindedness, moral progression, and closer relationship with God and or the cosmos. That sounds thoroughly unconvincing to people who don't use the drug themselves, especially when the public image of marijuana user is, again, that of a loser who risks arrest and imprisonment so that he or she can artificially invoke an endorphin release. Endorphins are the thing that basically it's the stuff that makes you feel good. So like the legal ways of making these endorphins come out is sex. Same result as heroin. And bacon and sex. A much better argument for marijuana legalization from my vantage point, this is from the vantage point of the person writing the article, might go more like this. It makes some people happy and it doesn't seem to be any more dangerous than alcohol. Do we really want to go around putting people in prison and destroying their lives over this? You know, that's actually a really good point. It basically goes back to what I was saying. Look at Prohibition. We made alcohol illegal. People still used it. People still made it. People still went around in these awesome cars where they had these hidden compartments and souped up engines that could outrun police. And Prohibition is just really cool to me. I actually, my family was actually connected with the mob. My family used to run parts for them, which is really cool to me. Not to some people. But that just seems really cool to me. But the reason, I'll go back to the marijuana topic. The reason I'm talking about this is there's actually a bill for medical use here in Iowa that is in talking right now. Republicans are having a closed-door session where basically they're going to legalize it or kill it. I think it needs to be legalized. I really do. It's one of those where it's going to help people. It's not really going to hurt them. Even if it's just for people with cancer. You know, it's going to help them with the pain. And if it is extremely dangerous, well, you know what? If their cancer's terminal, who cares? If they're happy, if they're not in pain, what's it matter? I'm sorry, but there's a lot I don't understand, and this being one of them. I really don't understand this. This is a topic that I'm passionate about. This and gun control are the two things that I'm passionate about. I think that medical marijuana needs to be legal. Some are saying, well, what happens when it becomes recreational is legal too? Well, let's not worry about that right now. Let's not worry about that. At first, it needs to come to helping people. Recreational is down the road. I know people that say, why legalize it for medical when we can't use it recreational? Well, because you aren't dying. You aren't dying of cancer in a ton of pain, or you aren't having these things where you're just, all of a sudden your neck twitches or your arm twitches, or all of a sudden you blurt out a word, or you aren't falling on the ground seizing or basically blacking out. That's why you're not recreational yet. I know guys that have even Crohn's that they're in constant pain, that this will help them if it becomes legal. There's a lot of things that it helps. There's not much it hurts. I don't know what else I can say to help sway you to legalize it, but I think it needs to be legal. That is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. If you hate me for it, I really don't care. I have enough people that hate me. Get in line. Take a number. I don't give a shit. For all those that watch this, please share it. Please get the word out there. You know, I'm not looking for subscribers. I'm really not. If I get more subscribers, great. Maybe I'll get a paycheck once from YouTube. I really don't give a shit about the money. I really don't. Not on this topic, not on any topic that I talk about. The topics that I talk about, I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the subscribers. I'm in it to be heard. I'm in it to make a difference. So please, share this video. Get this out there. Let people know what's happening and that this is something that will help people that are dying. That's all I care about. That is all I care about. Helping people. And this is going to.